save big all season long. And if you're looking to step up your cocktail game, get insider info on seasonal recipes, or online for same-day delivery, just go to specsonline.com, because the fun starts here. Specs Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods. Cheers to savings.
You're listening to the Voice of Texas, AM 700 KSEV Tomball, and AM 1540 KGBC Galveston.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Iranian state TV says a foreign container ship ran aground in the state of Hormuz using an unapproved route.
The Iranian state TV report appeared aimed at underlining Tehran's claims to control the Strait of Hormuz, which the world has long considered an international waterway. It saw a fifth of all oil and natural gas pass through it in peacetime. Iran has used its ability to choke off the waterway as a key source of leverage since the war began, disrupting global markets for energy and other critical goods. Talks are ongoing in Qatar to end the Iran war, with the US and Iranian negotiators present. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
President Trump flew to North Dakota to help open the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library on the brand new Air Force One aircraft presented to him by the government of Qatar. President Trump tells reporters the new Air Force One will not cost taxpayers very much.
Well, it costs very little relative to what it would cost if we did it a different way. So this was a gift from a country that's treated us very well. And they're an ally of us over in the Middle East, Qatar. And I went to Boeing, I said, who has the best one? They said, Qatar.
The refurbished jet is painted to Trump's preferred color scheme of a navy blue belly and red and gold stripes. Multi-day warnings of extreme heat have landed in New York, Boston, and Philadelphia. The sultry weather is pushed east just ahead of weekend 4th of July events in a region that revels in its role as a cornerstone of U.S. independence. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 13 points, the Nasdaq dropped 173, with the S&P 500 lower by 16. More at townhall.com.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate, like you. You take prescription meds, and you're overweight. Winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you, with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So, yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou, because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds, too. Get a quote right now at 800-555-2085. 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
California wants to make food labels less confusing by banning sell-by dates. Correspondent Rich Thomason reports.
The new law requires manufacturers to use just two labels: best if used by for peak quality and used by for safety. This change aims to reduce food waste and emissions. California is the first state to standardize labels, with New York following suit. Other states are considering similar laws. The confusion over labels has led to significant food waste, with nearly 20% of food wasted due to unclear labeling. Advocates believe this simple change can make a big impact. Rich Thomason reporting.
Two people have gotten to the top of the Empire State Building's antenna and unfurled a banner about the power of love before starting to descend. They have since been arrested. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
Humidity and a low of 78. Tomorrow will bring partly sunny conditions with lingering humidity and the possibility of a thunderstorm in a few areas during the afternoon, reaching a high of 91. As we move into tomorrow night, skies will mainly clear, remaining humid with a low of 77. Looking ahead to Friday, anticipate partly sunny skies with humidity continuing, along with the chance of isolated thunderstorms developing in the afternoon as temperatures climb to a high of 93. With the KSEV Weather Center forecast, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jason Caterina.
This program is brought to you in part by Ability Tree Experts. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professionals.
Call 281-441-4179.
Chris X here to tell you about Humble Amco transmission and AC specialists. People who know go to Amco. I personally trust Jay Streckfus and Humble Amco with all of my vehicle's needs. With complete car care, they'll take care of all of your auto needs as well. Always a free check engine light inspection, and tell them that Chris X sent you for a free engine scan. Call Jay today at 281-446-0862. That's 281-446-0862, or online at humbleamco.com.
Thank goodness our weather experts are providing us with hurricane tracking charts and reminding us to be prepared for big storms. But they overlook one very important thing, the damage and destruction from broken limbs and uprooted trees. Call Louis Flory at Ability Tree Experts today, my friend for nearly 40 years, at 281-441-4179, and let him explain how this problem can be minimized with professional pruning. You see, when the tree canopy is too thick and dense, the tree can be completely blown over and tree limbs broken, causing terrible damage to the tree and maybe your home. Where tree limbs break, sap will ooze, and that attracts harmful insects. So you need to call Louis Flory today at 281-441-4179 and have his experts come out and professionally prune your trees to withstand sudden storms that are so frequent this time of year. Visit their website at abilitytrees.com. That's 281-441-4179. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professional.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's ChrisXradio. ChrisXradio.
What we need right now is a clear message to the people of this country. This message must be read in every newspaper, heard on every radio, seen on every television. This message must resound throughout the entire interlink.
And now, your host.
I believe this is going to be our finest hour.
Chris X.
The aforementioned X-Man, glad to have you here as we are rocking and rolling up to America's 250th birthday celebration. There's going to be, I'm dreading it to a certain degree. One, it's cool seeing some of the fireworks and stuff, but the problem is, I last night when I was driving, was down 1960, I saw fireworks going off. One of the parking lots next to it, they're shooting off fireworks. They've got their own show taking place. This goes on from about now, or yesterday. It's fireworks season. It's going to go through the July the 4th, and it usually goes in my area till probably 3, 4, 5 in the morning. These people are still popping fireworks, and they've been already setting them off here. So you have to brace yourself for fireworks. Glad to have you here with us. Of course, we come bearing that gift beyond price that is almost free, ladies and gentlemen. We bring you the spirit of talk radio. Got plenty to cover here on the program today. Also, coming up here at the bottom of the hour, we're going to be joined by Phil Sklar. He is the co-founder and CEO of the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum. Remember when bobbleheads were all the rage? Well, now they have a bobblehead collection starting today. that is celebrating America's 250th birthday. So we will catch up with Phil Sklar here at the bottom of the hour. We'll talk about the bobbleheads and what they've got going on. I've already seen some of them. They look pretty awesome. I mean, they look pretty good. I could go for one of those bobbleheads. In fact, I think they should just package up all of them and send them to me. By the way, it's a lot of them. It's not just one. There's a bunch of them, and they celebrate, once again, 250 years of American exceptionalism. You know, that's the other thing, too. What other country is so cool that you can have bobbleheads of America's founders? Well, or your founders. I don't even know who founded any of the other countries. Usually it's either some commie or some totalitarian. But no, the commies and totalitarians are running for office now. They're all the spoiled brats or children of illegal aliens that came over here, or documented aliens that came over. They have these kids, they're all little commies. It's insane. Anyway, I'm looking forward to talking with Phil Sklar here at the bottom of the hour. Okay, so when I mentioned the commies are on the march, that's what I'm talking about. They are on the march. As we're gearing up to celebrate our 250th birthday, the commies are marching along. Representative Diana DeJette, I guess is her name, Democrat out of Colorado, basically commie light. A 30-year incumbent lost to Democrat Socialist of America. That's right. Backed challenger. High-profile primary last night. Milat Quiros, a 29-year-old socialist, defeated DeJette in the Democrat primary for this very deep blue House seat anchored in Denver, Colorado, according to the Associated Press, scoring another major victory for the socialists last night. So now they're winning in New York. They're taking over. Well, they're trying to win in D.C., in Colorado. You noticing a trend here? The Democrat socialists are eating the Democrats alive. So we'll talk about that and maybe what Miss Quiros stands for. She's a real gem, folks. I can tell you that. Also, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw in the news. You probably did. There were two masked clowns, basically climbed on top of the Empire State Building around noon today, holding a banner that read, "When the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace." Let me read that again so I'll get it right. When the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace. I guess that's taking world peace for everyone to another level when you climb on top of the Empire State Building. Now, of course, the New York Police Department responded, and I guess they were taken into custody. But it was a guy and a woman, and apparently when they crawled back down, he dropped to one knee and proposed to her, pulled an engagement ring out of his backpack. Okay, they identified themselves. They're social media people. Netflix stars Angela Nicolau and Ivan Birkas. Okay. They were taken into custody and charges are pending. And this is what New York Police Department officials told Fox News Digital. There were no injuries. Nobody was injured, which is good. No one fell or anything stupid. So that's a good sign. The DOJ will prioritize birth tourism probes after the Supreme Court ruling yesterday. Federal prosecutors on June 30th were directed to prioritize investigations into birth tourism schemes after the Supreme Court struck down President Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship for children born to illegal immigrants. The problem is a whole lot worse than just that, but that's a big problem. We can dig into that a little bit. By the way, Senator Bernie Moreno pushes Congress to clarify birthright citizenship rules using Harry Reid's own 1993 legislation. Wait, what? Harry Reid, he was a Democrat out of Las Vegas. He was a big-time Democrat. So he had legislation trying to limit that of birthright citizenship? Yeah, he did. And now Bernie Moreno, senator out of, where's he at? Is he out of Ohio? Yeah, out of Ohio. Is reanimating that bill, bringing it back up. And we'll get into that as well. By the way, there's an article over at Breitbart today. I guess this is from John Nolte. The GOP apparently is leading in most of the U.S. Senate polls ahead of the midterms. Still a long way to go to get there, but we got Texas, Maine, Ohio, Iowa, North Carolina, Alaska, The interesting ones are here, of course, in Texas with James Talafrico and Ken Paxton. I've been watching hit piece after hit piece after hit piece on social media and Texas news channels. Oh, my God, Ken Paxton is traveling somewhere with his girlfriend. What a horrible dirtbag loser, jerkwad. He's married. He's divorced. But they're still running with it. They're trying to make him look like the worst dirtbag ever in order to make it close. They're hoping they can sneak James Talafrico across the line. Yeah, they're going to try. But the problem is every time we find an audio clip of that weirdo, he is saying some of the weirdest things you've ever heard. He's a Christian who hates Christianity. What? Okay. They're trying to pitch him now as this stridently heterosexual guy. He's the one that said he had neighbors with uteruses. Neighbors with a uterus. Okay. Well, his lead has all but evaporated in Texas. He was only leading in one poll that came out while the Republican primary was still going on. So there wasn't even a really candidate to put it against. So they were splitting the baby, if you will, in order to give James Talafrico a lead. Well, that's gone. So we can get into that. And then you got Maine. That's an interesting one with Republican Senator, the most liberal voting Republican Senator, Susan Collins, going up against an actual guy with a Nazi tattoo. Claims to be an oyster farmer, but he was on an online sex predator site called Kick, which I didn't even know that existed. Spent time in porta potties doing things that you probably shouldn't be doing in porta potties. Spread racism about black people. He's a really sweet guy. And the Democrats put this guy up. He is the walking poster boy of everything they claim that Republicans are, but they're the ones putting him up. Okay. I got that. And then once again, at the bottom of the hour, we'll talk with Phil Sklar. He is the co-founder and CEO of the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum, which is pretty cool. We'll talk about some of these bobbleheads. Maybe some bobbleheads for like Ben Franklin or Alexander Hamilton, Eli Whitney, Frederick Douglass, Thomas Edison. A lot of interesting ones. Very cool. This is actually probably one of the coolest things, is they actually have the bobbleheads that they're releasing, and they're available today. For those who don't know, by the way, the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum, they're located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But they've got an online presence. They've got, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, website. I was looking at the website earlier, and it's basically store.bobbleheadhall.com, and you can go see some of the ones that are available. So if you want to go check them out. But we'll be talking with him here at the bottom of the hour. So we'll get you geared up for America's 250. I know yesterday wasn't a great day with the Supreme Court ruling, which actually on some of the others, that came out just fine. It was just this birthright citizenship thing that's just, for some reason, and I don't know how this happened or why it happened, but it just became part of the, if you will, the law of the land. And it's not the law. The law specifically goes against it. It is amazing to think that the 14th Amendment explicitly states, hey, listen, this is for slaves. Children of slaves are American citizens, former slaves. They're born here on American soil. They are Americans. The Democrat Party was trying to stop that from happening. That's why we needed the 14th Amendment. It also explicitly says that dignitaries, foreign dignitaries here on business, if they have a child while they're here, that does not constitute them being an American citizen. So we will deny foreign dignitaries who happen to have a baby here on American soil citizenship, but we'll give it to how many millions of illegal aliens that have come here illegally? The Chinese tourism. Oh, people have been busted for the Chinese birth tourism, by the way. Did you know that? Yeah, there's a birth tourism industry out there. It's not just China, but China is probably the big one. China, okay, China. Not only are people coming over here and having babies so they can get their citizenship and then taking them back to China, but there is a business. There are people that are full-time, and their business is bringing Chinese citizens over here to give birth to babies so they can be American citizens only to be taken back to China. It seems crazy that we would allow anyone to come to our country, give them all the rights. They don't have to take an oath, have no allegiance to our country whatsoever, and we will allow them to have American citizenship to go back and be indoctrinated by our adversaries, and then allow them to come on back and run for office. Like I said on the show yesterday, I said, you want to kill a nation? That's how you do it. And the fact that the Supreme Court, the majority of the Supreme Court, couldn't see this. Somehow they just didn't ever predict this. First of all, 250 years ago, I can see them, that wasn't an issue. So I can see them not quite being prepared to believe that for some reason a nation would allow people, foreign invaders, to come in and have kids, and those kids be American citizens, or have our adversaries come over and have kids and give them citizenship only to take them back to their country, indoctrinate them so they can return at another time. What? Huh? Is that what Fang Fang was doing along with Mr. Swalwell? You guys remember that? What's amazing is that didn't bring him down. He was having an affair, I guess, with a Chinese spy. Didn't want to talk about it, never wanted to talk about it. But then his we'll just say his lack of morals brought him down when he decided to run for governor of California. It's crazy. All right, let's go ahead and take a break. We'll come back. We got to get into a couple of these things. We'll talk a little bit about Malat Quiros winning in the Democrat primary last night in Denver. We'll talk about that, and then we can get into the DOJ prioritizing birth tourism probes, and we'll talk about some of the craziness going on there. Wait till you hear about some of these cases. And then Bernie Moreno pushes Congress to classify birthright citizenship rules using Harry Reid's own 1993 legislation, and he's introducing it verbatim as is. That's interesting. Anyway, you're listening to Chris X Radio. I'm the aforementioned X-Man. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We got one quick segment, and then at the bottom of the hour, we'll catch up with Phil Sklar, the co-founder and CEO of the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum. I'm looking forward to talking to him. This is I used to love the bobbleheads when they first came out. I may have a particular bobblehead that does things like this, holds up a finger. Maybe he's very rich. Keep that away from the TDS people. They'll destroy it. All right, we'll be right back. Don't go away.
Shop Specs! 50 years in the Lone Star State. A one-stop shop so you're never late. Price is so low that you want to know
which way to Specs.
Come on, let's go.
Specs, wine, spirits, and finer foods. World-class service, that's all about you.
Shop Specs, it's how we do. A huge selection since 62. Shop Specs, low priced, amazing. Here's to you.
Shop.
Cheers to savings.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Nix Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nix Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nixplumbing.com.
MPL 38548.
What if you could invest in real estate for pennies on the dollar? Find out how this Saturday at 2 p.m. on the Check Pro Radio Show, when tax lien certificate expert Ted Thomas reveals one of America's best-kept investment secrets. Tune in this Saturday at 2 p.m.
Summer weather is upon us, but true Texans know customizing outside areas at home is the key to enjoying outdoor gatherings in any season. And Russell Metzler with Gas Product Services is ready to help. From gas grills to outdoor kitchens, recreational fire features, and gas lights to all your home natural gas items and ideas. With over 20 years in the gas products business, Russell is your go-to guy and can add inspiring outdoor ambiance and culinary functionality you can enjoy year-round. Call 281-798-8006 or visit gasproductservices.com.
Do you need money? Want to lower your monthly debt? Are you thinking about a cash-out refinance? Hi, it's Kathy from Baker Mortgage. A cash-out refinance can get you back in your comfort zone, and that's what it's all about. A recent client who closed with us had his payment go up about $300, but his monthly outgo was being reduced by $1,200, so giving him a net positive cash flow of $900. It's not about adding debt, but restructuring it in a way that makes sense. And this math totally makes sense. And please don't sweat it if your interest rate is going up a little or if you're extending the term. I can show you by taking a small amount of what you're saving monthly and applying it towards your mortgage, you're going to pay it off just as quickly and you'll be way ahead in the money game, which is where we all want to be, right? Remember, we want to help you, but we're not going to help you over a cliff. Baker Mortgage, 281-313-MOVE, or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
Be a Planner show host Nathan Ross wants to remind you, please consider all the syndication terms of your private real estate partnership. By understanding the syndication math, Nathan can help you assess the benefits of ownership. Visit beaplanner.com or tune in each Sunday at 7 a.m. for the Be a Planner show with Nathan Ross CPA on KSEV.
Feel free to celebrate 250 years of freedom. However, please don't drink and drive. Our sponsor, All Around Construction and Remodeling of Houston, is family owned, serving the area with quality and pride since 2004. Don't move your home, improve it with All Around Construction and Remodeling. Call your local remodeling experts at 281-658-7329. That's 281-658-7329. That's All Around Construction and Remodeling, reminding us to drive safe and sober.
You know, they often say it's lonely at the top, right? For America, we're going to be lonely. Welcome back to ChrisXradio. I'm the aforementioned X-Man. Glad to have you here with us on it's officially July outside. It is hot, and we're actually officially into July. So there you go. What is it? Looks like it dropped a degree over in my area, dropped down to 98. Oh, man, I'm going to have to put on a sweater. It's really cooling off out there. I'm not ready for the summer, for the heat. No, not one bit. Not ready at all. I am ready to catch up with our guest today, which will be fun. We'll catch up with him here in about 4 minutes. Phil Sklar, the co-founder and CEO of the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum. He'll join us here at the bottom of the hour. We'll talk about this bobblehead collection celebrating America's 250th birthday. That'll be pretty cool. So we'll talk with Phil Sklar here at the bottom of the hour. And it's funny because here, as we gear up, because Saturday is America's 250th birthday, which is crazy. To think we've been around 250 years, and the Democrats have already are slowly but surely being conquered by Marxist, socialist, communists. The commies are on the march. Representative Diana DeJette out of Colorado, a 30-year incumbent, lost her primary last night to a Democrat Socialists of America-backed challenger in this big, high-profile primary. Malat Quiros, a 29-year-old socialist, defeated DeJette in the Democrat Party primary for a House seat anchored in Denver, Colorado, according to the Associated Press, scoring another big victory for the socialist left last night. The DSA had been aiming to cast DeJette's loss as evidence of its growing momentum after a slate of socialist candidates won primaries in New York City last week. Quote, today the East Coast, next week the Mountain West. The DSA wrote, the Democrat Socialists of America wrote on social media in a post last week. Now realize that you guys that are in Colorado, people which, like I said, the people could actually vote against these commies. They could vote against them. Absolutely 100% vote against the Democrat Socialists of America and these crazy people that are winning these races. But will they? The Democrats have decided they would vote for guys with a Nazi tattoo on his chest. Somehow that makes sense to them. Because the Democrat leaders are saying we've got to get rid of Susan Collins. Because Susan Collins is somehow a massive threat. She is hands down the most liberal voting Republican senator. But they have to get rid of her because it's not good enough. So they will absolutely vote with what? For a guy with a Nazi tattoo on his chest who has said racist and sexist things, was a member of this website that pedophiles apparently frequented after he was married, by the way. He said some racist things. A guy who said he would rape a man if the guy broke into his house, not because he's gay, but because just to establish his dominance. If you're fantasizing about raping some dude who broke into your house, you might be a little gay. I'm just saying. I just can't. Like I said, I hear things like that, and I'm like, wait, to establish your dominance? No, I think that establishes your homosexuality. Or in his case, probably bisexuality. I don't know. The dude's a freak. Anybody with a Nazi tattoo on their chest tells me they're probably not a great dude. But don't worry, he's the Democrat nominee in Maine going up against Susan Collins. Okay. We'll see how that works out. All right, something on the opposite end of the spectrum is we have now the bobblehead collection celebrating America's 250th birthday. We got a bunch of bobbleheads coming out today. The CEO of the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum, also co-founder, Phil Sklar, joins us here next on ChrisX Radio. Let's take a very short break. We'll come back, pick up with Phil, and tell you about some of these bobbleheads commemorating America's 250th birthday, which is coming up this Saturday. I went to the website earlier and was looking at the bobbleheads. They're pretty cool. And you can start ordering them now. We'll talk with Phil Sklar here next on ChrisX Radio. Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The open enrollment period for medical plans is right around the corner, so get some facts and your options. In response to COVID-19, rates are expected to rise as high as 40% in some states. Are you already paying exorbitant Obamacare or COBRA rates? Are you paying ridiculous rates for your family on your work group plan? Are you going without insurance because you can't find anything reasonable? Your search is over. Listen to your pal Chris Salcedo. How does a zero-deductible, no-copay nationwide PPO plan sound? And you can get it at half the cost, keeping your hard-earned money where it belongs, in your pocket. American Medical Plans will tailor a plan that best fits you as well as your budget. American Medical Plans are local guys. Their goal is to give you peace of mind and the utmost in healthcare. Call American Medical Plans today to see if you qualify and start saving 30 to 60% now. Call 833-500-PLAN. That's 833-500-7526, or go to AmericanMedicalPlans.com. That's AmericanMedicalPlans.com. It's a quality plan chosen and managed by you, not the government.
Checo Pro Joe here. Join me this Saturday at 11 a.m. when Andrew from A&H Pro Generators discusses whole home standby generators and the peace of mind they bring. That's this Saturday at 11, right here on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas.
If you have roof problems, you can sure see them when it rains. This is Deb Tejada from Tejas Roofing. If you see a leak, call me immediately, 281-251-0304. I'll send over the Tejas Roof Repair truck.
That truck has everything our experienced crew needs to fix your roof, right then and there.
The Tejas Roofing crew has been working together fixing leaky roofs for 15 years.
It's not a pretty truck, but it has everything we need to get the job done. I kind of like the way it looks.
Most roofing repairs cost less than $500. Why? Because we find the cause of the leak and repair that leak. We won't try to sell you services you don't need.
And we'll fix it right away because everything we need is in our truck.
Don't put off fixing a leaky roof. Call me at Tejas Roofing and I'll send over the truck. 281-251-0304. When you think of roofing repairs or a new roof, think Tejas Roofing, your Houston roofing company. 281-251-0304. That's Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304.
Well, I don't see any rain out there today. We've gotten full-on heat going on down here in the South. The dirty South, as they like to call us. Welcome back to ChrisX Radio. It is time to catch up with our guest. Our guest is Phil Sklar. He is the co-founder and CEO of the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame Museum. We're going to be talking about this bobblehead collection celebrating America's 250th birthday has been unveiled. Phil, thanks so much for being here. Good to have you on the program.
Yeah, it's good to be with you.
Well, it's good to get you on the program. So I was perusing the website earlier today, and I saw, it's bobbleheadhall.com if you guys want to check it out. And you guys have a range of bobbleheads. And I saw one of Bernie Sanders when he was sitting there with his blanket and stuff, but you guys have a ton of them, and then now you have this big commemoration. First and foremost, before you get into the commemoration of the America's 250th, let's talk a little bit about the Bobblehead Hall of Fame. This is sort of this museum that features bobbleheads from every aspect of the spectrum, doesn't it?
That's right. Yeah, we have a little bit of everything, over 10,000 unique bobbleheads on display, everything from sports to politics, pop culture, you name it, it's represented. And we have exhibits about the history, the stories behind them, how they're made, and located right in the downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin area.
It's kind of an interesting idea. For one, it's funny how popular these bobbleheads got. Now, my first introduction with the bobbleheads was going to a baseball game, and like here being in the Houston area, the Jose Altuve bobblehead. They've had, I guess, some of the other players and their bobbleheads. That was my first introduction. But since then, I've seen a ton of them. You mentioned the politics. Yeah, there's a little Trump bobblehead I've seen, and there's others. I mentioned the Bernie Sanders one that I saw on the website over at, bobbleheadhall.com. But you guys literally scan the spectrum, so they've got everything from sports to politics to whatever. But now you guys have a brand new lineup that is being introduced just today?
Yeah, so July 1st, we figured what better day than today, leading up to America's 250th birthday in just a few days, with 16 people who have made a big mark on the history of the country. And these definitely aren't the only ones that we'll be releasing throughout the rest of the year, but this is sort of our big group, and we're excited to have these out there for people to be able to add to their collection or maybe start a new collection.
Yeah, and some of them are really cool. I was looking earlier today, and we'll tell everybody how they can go find more information. I know, like I said, clearly you can get what you're looking for if you get started. Go over to bobbleheadhall.com. That's a good place to start. But let's go through some of these that you have commemorating America's 250th. One of the first ones I saw, Ben Franklin. What a perfect head for a bobblehead. I think that one's fantastic.
Yeah. Yep. Ben Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, Susan B. Anthony, Alexander Graham Bell. You have a really wide range of people we were trying to try to capture. Andrew Carnegie, and some of the people will know really well. Others might have to look it up and say, oh yeah, I've heard of them, or somebody read about them. But now is a great way to commemorate them. We have the two people most prominently associated with the flag, Betsy Ross and Mary Pickersgill. A lot of people might not know who Mary was, but she was born in 1776, 250 years ago in Philadelphia, and she sewed the Star-Spangled Banner that flew over Fort McHenry and inspired the national anthem. So you can go visit her house there in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think as a kid, I actually did go visit the house when we went to Philadelphia, and actually had to take some of the tours, which was a lot of fun. But you mentioned some of these, and we start off with Ben Franklin. Everybody is very familiar with Benjamin Franklin. You even guys like Eli Whitney, the founder and of the cotton gin. He completely revolutionized, I guess, American agriculture and industry here in this country.
That's right. Yeah. So it's not just politicians, it's not just patriotic, but yeah, people who had a big mark on things like manufacturing, like Eli Whitney or Andrew Carnegie, who became one of the greatest philanthropists of all time, funded over 2,500 public libraries. So there's a good chance might have been in a library that he helped fund. And just a really wide mix of people, and even a Declaration of Independence bobble, which features the document that bobbles on springs above the base and includes a magnifying glass so you can read those important words in our nation's history.
No, that's very cool. And yeah, you mentioned some of these others, like Susan B. Anthony. People just think of the Susan B. Anthony coin that we had a while back, but you've got a Susan B. Anthony bobblehead. And then there's another one that I think is really interesting. I like Frederick Douglass. He was born into slavery and over in Maryland, and went on to becoming a leading abolitionist. Like I said, he's a writer who champions civil rights and equality for all Americans. I think that is a good one as well. And then you can, once again, one of the most amazing inventors of all time is Thomas Edison. You guys have some really cool bobbleheads.
Yeah, it was fun to create the series. We spent a lot of time, over the past year or so working on all these bobbleheads, making sure they were perfect. So it's exciting to get them out there today. And one of the other cool features is each one is individually numbered to 1776 for that year of our nation's founding 250 years ago. So they'll be a great collectible for people.
Yeah, these bobbleheads are always collectible. I mean, like I said, for anyone who's sports fans, you've seen the bobbleheads they'll have. But once again, they're not just you can't just partition it to sports. They're once again everything, especially when you're looking at America's 250th. Where did this idea come from? Who came up with the idea to commemorate all of our the founding members of our country and these people that are such a big important aspect of our history as a nation? Who had the idea to come up with these and to start doing this series of bobbleheads for these founders?
Yeah, so about 10 years ago, we produced, maybe 8 years ago now, produced bobbleheads of what we called the neglected presidents. So the presidents, there was 15 of them who had never had a bobblehead before, which we were surprised to find out that not every president had had a bobblehead. So we changed that. And so now we produce bobbleheads of every president, but we just saw how popular they were. Even obscure presidents like Martin Van Buren, we were shocked that we sold out of like 3 production runs of them. And so we realized there's a lot of history buffs out there, and a great way to celebrate history and teach history is through bobbleheads. And so we started to make a list of additional people who had never had a bobblehead, and 10 of the 16 people had never had bobbleheads before, which, is pretty surprising. Some of these people are, extremely influential and just nobody got around to making a bobblehead of them. So that's how we got things started, and here we are today unveiling it to the public, and so far a great response.
Oh, I can imagine. So now tell people, what is the best way for people to go and start checking out some of these bobbleheads and where they can actually go and start purchasing them? Because I have a feeling, like I said, but just from the ones that we mentioned, they're going to be flying off the shelves. I think a lot of people are going to want some of these. They look pretty cool. How's the best way for people to go and check out these bobbleheads?
Yeah, so store.bobbleheadhall.com or bobbleheadhall.com is the best spot to go. You can see them all there. Just click on bobbleheads, and all 16 of them are right at the top. If you want to place an order over the phone, you can do that as well, 800-414-1482.
Okay, so you can either call or you can go check out the website. I encourage people to go to the website and check it out. Once again, bobbleheadhall.com is a great place to start. And you can get not only just these 250th, but once again, you can start checking out some of the other ones that have been out for a while. And like I said, I was looking on there earlier. I saw the Bernie Sanders and then Dr. Fauci, and it's hilarious looking at some of these bobbleheads. But you got some of the old school like baseball players and just really some interesting stuff. Has bobbleheads been, I don't want to say necessarily a national craze, but they seem to be exceptionally popular when sports teams have a bobblehead night. It seems to be that they tend to sell out those nights, and a lot of people really come to enjoy a bobblehead. Are they really this popular?
Yeah, so it's the one thing that continues to bring fans out to the stadium regardless of, how the team's doing, who they're playing, what the weather is. Fans will wait outside, on a Wednesday night in the rain to get their bobbleheads no matter, what else is going on. So they really have become an American phenomenon from coast to coast. Yeah, people are, you give away a bobblehead and you'll get people there at the games. And people are also, online adding to their collection with people that, you're not going to get a Ben Franklin bobblehead at a game. So, you got to go online or go to a store to get that one.
Yeah, that's like I said, that's very cool. So that's the thing. If you miss them at the ballpark, you can always go, pick some up, and you can do it right there at the website. Bobbleheadhall.com is the main website, but you can go check it out there, and you can, of course, call them. There's a couple other names, some of the ones that may not be as popular, or the names that people won't recognize. You mentioned Martin Van Buren. You did one for him, and it's funny because I completely get how that could be a popular one because of the novelty aspect of it. Who would have ever thought you'd have a Martin Van Buren, bobblehead bobblehead. I mean, who would have ever thought that would be something? And it turns out it's actually popular. But you've got a few of these others, like Dorothea Dix. There's one. We can mention that. I don't know if you want to describe who that is. And then also, as you had mentioned, you got Dr. Mary Edwards Walker and William Lloyd Garrison. And like I said, everybody knows who most people know who Andrew Carnegie is, or Samuel Morse. Here's my question. Hold on. Before I go back, and I'll repose the one about Dorothea Dix and stuff. You got Samuel Morse. So Samuel Morse, when you bobble his head, does it send out Morse code, or is that not part of the process?
Nowadays we could probably make that happen, but this one doesn't. But it does have a cool telegraph standing on the table next to him, so you get that cool feature as well.
Yeah, that's actually very cool. That would be a fun one, too, and you could tell all your friends, hey, if you hit it just right, it's sending out Morse code. So tell them that. But so tell everybody, who is, like, Dorothea Dix? That's a name people probably really won't recognize or won't realize until you mention who she actually is.
Yeah, that's right. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool. You mentioned, Dorothea Dix, and she was helped lead reforms for the mentally ill, and just a lot of really cool things that all these people did. And a lot of people will end up doing some good research, maybe even reading a biography as a result of getting the bobblehead. And they make great gifts as well.
Yeah, you mentioned her advocacy for the mentally ill. Did I just expose myself because I mentioned that one in particular? Maybe I should have been treated by Dorothea. But also, we mentioned Dr. Mary Edwards Walker. This is born in 1832. This was a Civil War surgeon. People don't really tend to realize that, but that we had a female Civil War surgeon back to receive the Medal of Honor back in the Civil War. People don't realize that sort of stuff took place back then.
That's right. Yeah, it's pretty cool in history to see, and read about some of these people who, did some amazing things, and it's awesome to be able to turn them into bobbleheads that people will be able to have give from generation to generation. And we see that with bobbleheads all the time. And this is, I think, something that we'll continue to add to the collection throughout the rest of the year and probably beyond.
Man, first of all, that's very cool. Also, you have Thomas Hopkins Gallaudet. That is an important one, born on December 10th in 1787, co-founded the first permanent school for the deaf in North America. There's another one that I think is very interesting. You mentioned Mary Pickersgill. People don't realize what sort of part she played in, the Star-Spangled Banner flag and stuff. But then you have the Declaration of Independence. Now, how does that work? As a bobblehead, how do you do the Declaration of Independence?
Yeah, so people have to go on the website to check that one out, but it's the replica of the Declaration of Independence document, that iconic document, and it bobbles above the base, and actually includes a magnifying glass so you can read the text clearly, since it's pretty small text and in a very hard-to-read cursive. But we'll also have the text on the box for people to be able to read as well, and also QR codes, and we build in some fun things so people can learn more and get more information and continue that lifelong learning.
Yeah, that one's very cool. I've been up to D.C. and saw the Declaration of Independence. Now, you can't touch that one, but if you get the Declaration of Independence bobblehead, you can touch it all you want. And as you mentioned, you get the little magnifying glass so you can read it, which is very cool. Okay, I guess my final question for you now. Listen, you may not be prepared for this. We live in this weird time now where there are UAPs and UFOs flying around. Do you have any alien bobbleheads, or is that going to be coming out here in the near future?
Yeah, we have an alien bobblehead on our website, I believe. We do have a couple in the museum as well, and who knows, as we learn more about what these aliens might look like, maybe we'll have a whole lineup of aliens.
Yeah, that looks at, so it, once again, not only spans the world, but America, and then maybe even the stars and beyond. Once again, Phil Sklar, co-founder and CEO of the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum. Thanks for coming on the program today. Remind everybody once again, what are the best ways for them to go and check out some of these bobbleheads and to really learn everything they can about the Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum.
Yeah, so head over to store.bobbleheadhall.com and click on bobbleheads to check them all out. And you can give us a call to place an order. If you don't want to do it online, you can call 800-414-1482.
Thanks so much for being here today, Phil. I really appreciate our time, and it was a great conversation. I appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Once again, that was Phil Sklar, the co-founder and CEO of the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum. And once again, you can just, if you really, just the main website, bobbleheadhall.com. I encourage you to go check it out. Just checking it out briefly this afternoon was hilarious. There's a lot of really good ones, some fun ones, and you don't realize how many there are, and that they need not only a Hall of Fame, but a museum, which is very cool. And as you mentioned, Bobblehead Hall, the store.bobbleheadhall.com is where you can go check out some of the newer ones coming up to celebrate America's 250th birthday. All right, let's take a very short break. We'll come back and wrap up this first hour of the program. I appreciate Phil Sklar for joining us. That was a fun conversation. See, that's what you need when you're celebrating America's 250th. I think if more people studied bobbleheads and actually got a bobblehead, we'd probably be happier as a nation, I think. Some of these people that are just upset by everything, there's some fun stuff out there. Sometimes a bobblehead is just what you need. All right, you're listening to Chris X Radio. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Don't you go anywhere.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home and in need of the best realtors out there, look no further than the Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group. They've instilled in each and every member of their team hard work and honest values. And believe me, it's paid off. They truly know the Houston market and what it takes to get a home sold quickly and at top dollar, and how to get the best deal possible for your home purchase. They're employee-owned. They care about their clients, so they always go the extra mile to ensure each sale and purchase is seamless and smooth. The Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group have been a top-producing real estate team for over 2 decades. Call Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group at 281-440-7900 or see for yourself and go online at thematthewsteam.com. That's thematthewsteam.com. They sell over 1,000 homes a year, and they know every inch of the buying and selling market in Houston. Call Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group. I chose them as my realtor. The Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group, your realtors for life. 281-440-7900 or see for yourself online at thematthewsteam.com. That's thematthewsteam.com.
That's the Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group, brokered by EXP.
Offices located 1 Sugar Creek Center, Sugar Land, Texas.
Thinking of buying a home? It's important to start off with a solid pre-approval. Hi, I'm Kathy Baker from Baker Mortgage. Yes, we ask a lot of questions, but that's because we're not going to give you a pre-approval that's going to blow up as you're trying to cross the finish line. What's figured in there for property taxes? If it didn't come up, you really don't know what you're pre-approved for. That should make you wonder what else they may have left out. At Baker Mortgage, we get it right. We haven't been around for 60 years because we're lucky. Yes, we have wholesale rates, 80-10-10s, and all kinds of programs, but in the end, it's really about taking good care of people, and they continue to come back and send their kids, their friends, and sometimes their parents. Whether you're buying, building, or refinancing, call us at Baker Mortgage. We're at 281-313-6683. That's 281-313-MOVE or directly at bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License 263213.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Usually they happen on the weekends, holidays, or while you're away on vacation. I'm Richard Sod, president of Nick's Plumbing. When you find yourself facing a plumbing emergency, call the licensed and experienced professionals at Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services. Nick's Plumbing has been Houston's first choice for all your plumbing needs since 1979. Our experts can take your most difficult plumbing issues and fix them fast, fix them right, and usually for less than you'd expect. Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services is the right choice for any plumbing job, from a leaky faucet, whole house repipe, or a complete sewer line replacement. You can count on Nick's Plumbing to do the job right. With over 40 years in business and over 150,000 satisfied customers, Nick's wants to be your plumbing company. Nick's Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nicksplumbing.com.
MPL 38548.
Call Nick's Plumbing today. We're on the way.
I think a bobblehead would go perfectly with this song. Groove is in hot. It's a great song. That was a good one from, was it the 90s? It's either, I think maybe the early 90s. I don't remember. I think it's early 90s. It was a D-Light. A bunch of weirdos, but they had Bootsy Collins on bass on that one. So you can't go wrong with Bootsy Collins on bass. Bootsy that dude's a hell of a bass player. He is good. And he's done, needless to say, if you don't know who Bootsy Collins is, maybe do a little quick Google search and see what he's done. Guy's done well for himself. And he's great. And the video's hilarious. He's got those great platform boots on and rocking on the bass. But I've seen like I said in the video, you can totally see a bobblehead going with those. I want to thank Phil Sklar in the last segment who joined us. He's with the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum, which is over there in Milwaukee. Very cool. They've got the 250th anniversary bobblehead collection, and we mentioned some of the names of those, which are very cool. They've got Ben Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, Eli Whitney, Susan B. Anthony, Alexander Graham Bell. You may be familiar with him. He's the one who did the telephone. Pretty interesting. Frederick Douglass. There's a guy who was a leading abolitionist. He was born into slavery, by the way. February 14th, 1818. Then he became a writer, civil rights and equality for all Americans. Frederick Douglass was a pretty intelligent dude. Thomas Edison, Dorothea Dix, Betsy Ross. We all know about her and the flag. Dr. Mary Edwards Walker, mentioned that one. She was a Civil War surgeon. You didn't know that there were female surgeons in the Civil War, did you? So there's an element of our history that is often just sort of, overshadowed by so many other things. And then you got the woke nature who doesn't study history, so they don't realize things like this have already occurred. William Lloyd Garrison. I don't know why I keep saying William Lord. But like I said, he was an abolitionist who founded the anti-slavery newspaper The Liberator back in 1831. Thomas Hopkins Gallaudet, first permanent school for the deaf in America back in 1817. Samuel Morse, you'd be familiar with him, Morse code. Still use that in some cases. And then Mary Pickersgill, of course, like I said, also with the Star-Spangled Banner flag. And then the Declaration of Independence, and I think Phil did a good job of describing that it's the independence and it bobbles above the thing it rests on, but it's got a little magnifying glass so you can read it. That's very cool. It's the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum. They're featuring their 250th anniversary bobbleheads, which is very cool. It's located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, right there on 1st Street. It opened to the public back in 2019. The Hall of Fame and Museum also produces high-quality customized bobbleheads for retail sale, so you can actually get them printed out or made the way you want them. But they're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just look them up. You can see, of course, their website, bobbleheadhall.com. It's worth checking out. But that was a fun conversation we had with Phil Sklar, the CEO and founder of the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum. And I asked that question for the one question I asked him for a reason was when it comes to these bobbleheads, they're very popular like at games, like baseball games. I remember here in Houston, the Jose Altuve bobblehead. That was really popular. People loved it. And it's hilarious because Jose is such a smaller guy. He's not real tall. So it's kind of hilarious, like life size, which is hilarious. But Jose is clearly, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, big time. But these bobblehead nights at these ballparks are almost always sellouts. People want the bobbleheads. And like I said, you can get them. I may have one of a guy. He's amazing. He's probably the greatest of all the bobbleheads. Maybe he's holding some money. I don't know. He's very rich. Maybe you've heard. That kind of stuff is hilarious. But they've got, needless to say, Trump bobbleheads. You can get them everywhere. It was funny, of all places, I think I got my Trump bobblehead. I got it back in Las Vegas, and was it 2019? Went up to Vegas in 2019. There was an event where Alan West was speaking, and a bunch of other good conservatives were speaking. But then I ended up walking into one of their little stores, and they had these bobbleheads. And it was funny because I did not actually buy one for myself. I bought one for my dad, and I think some family members. And my good friend, the Drews man, I bought one for him because he would think it was hilarious, and he did. And then, unfortunately, he passed away. And then his friend who had his stuff said, "Is there anything that you want?" And I said, "Yeah, I would like that." And he sent it to me, which is really nice of him. Shout out to Brady. It was so nice to send me that. So this was actually it's a good homage to Drews man, who we lost here back, 5 years ago now. Lost him within a week of the same time I lost my dad, which is just bizarre. But you realize time waits for no one. And with America's 250th birthday coming up, you can go get yourself some bobbleheads if you're interested. So I encourage you to do that. All right, what we'll do is we're going to wrap up this first hour, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about the commies being on the march, man. They're winning in New York City. They're winning now in Denver, Colorado. I say winning. They're winning the Democrat primaries. The Democrat Socialists of America are now putting up these crazy radical candidates that are beating incumbents like Diana DeJette, a 30-year incumbent. Now, the thing is, she's just a commie light. She is one of them, basically, but just not quite as radical, so they go for a younger, better-looking, more radical person. So they voted for Malat Quiros. Who is Malat Quiros? A 29-year-old socialist. Where's she from? She's not from here. I'll give you a hint. She was born in Ethiopia. But she'll join the far-left group, like people like the Squad, if, in fact, she gets elected. She'll be one of the outspoken socialist Marxists. So her and AOC and Bernie Sanders. Like I said, they had a Bernie Sanders bobblehead. Remember him sitting with the gloves on? They have the bobble. I don't know if they have an AOC bobblehead. Imagine you could probably get one made. The people that are trying to destroy our country. I guess they're part of the country as well, I guess. All right, hour number 2 is up next. Don't you go anywhere. ChrisX Radio rolls on.
You're listening to the Voice of Texas, AM 700 KSEV Tomball and AM 1540 KGBC Galveston.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. As the nation celebrates its 250th birthday this weekend, the legislative branch has momentarily called it quits.
The House leadership on Tuesday abruptly canceled votes and sent lawmakers home early for the holiday recess. Speaker Mike Johnson's majority once again ground to a standstill by a Republican split over their own party's agenda. In this case, it's a standoff blocking the annual defense bill as the holdout Republicans pushed to include President Donald Trump's own priority, the Save America Act, a strict voter ID bill. Speaker Johnson spent 4 hours last week at the White House and spent another 2 hours with the president this week on a path forward. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
The punishing heat wave that has affected the Midwest and Great Lakes has moved east. Temperatures have moved into the upper 90s and 100s, with heat indices predicted to reach 110 to 115. In Marietta, Georgia, the CEO of Must Ministries, Ike Reigard, says their cooling center in Cobb County, Georgia, opens during the day when the temperature goes above 90 degrees.
But we know that over the next few days, that heat index may go anywhere from 105 to 108 degrees. It becomes life-threatening. So to me, this is a rescue station.
The heat is expected to last through the weekend. President Trump trying out his new Air Force One, a gift from the government of Qatar. He says Qatar spared no expense with the plane they presented to the U.S. to serve as Air Force One.
Nope, there's never been a plane like it. Frankly, we couldn't build a plane like this because we wouldn't be willing to spend the kind of money necessary. They spent top dollar. So the head of Boeing said this is considered the best 747 they've ever built.
On Wall Street, the Dow down by 13 points, the Nasdaq dropped 173. The S&P lower by 16. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Kirk Cameron. Is health insurance eating up your budget for 2026? If you're looking for ways to better steward your finances, consider this: Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a health insurance alternative at half the cost. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. While insurance companies tell you when to join, what to pay, and where to go, CHM is different. As a ministry, CHM allows you to share the burden of medical bills with other Christians. You can enroll, switch programs, or leave at any time. Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a world of difference. CHM has 4 flexible programs. You can pick any certified doctor, surgeon, or hospital that you want for eligible care. So make the switch. Take your paycheck back from health insurance this year. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
This True Sand commentary is brought to you by Ability Tree Experts.
Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professionals. Call 281-441-4179.
From KSEV, here's political contributor Ben Strusand.
Most polling shows that Republicans are going to have a tough time winning majorities in both houses of Congress in November. Voters blame Trump for inflation and believe that many of the necessities they need to purchase have become unaffordable. 2 out of 3 voters don't believe that preventing Iran from building a nuclear weapon is worth the higher gas prices that they are paying. Voters never give a president credit for preventing bad things like a nuclear war from happening. President Trump should realize by now that the Islamic Republic will never agree to a deal that results in a Trump win. The mullahs read the polls and see the domestic political pressure to end the war. It's part of their strategy. We should stop chasing a bad deal. This does not mean that we should resume unlimited airstrikes, but rather targeted decapitation strikes against their leadership, as the Israelis used effectively. If Iranian leaders won't cut a deal, then let's get new ones. The real leverage we have against Iran is economic. We destroyed what Iran took decades to build. Their defense industrial base used to manufacture drones, missiles, and nuclear weapons. Inflation in Iran is running at 40%. The blockade collapsed the revenue stream used by the Revolutionary Guard Corps, their security services, and all the government infrastructure. If our blockade is allowed to continue and not stopped by Democrats and a few lame duck Republicans in Congress, we can eliminate the mullah's leverage over its people. We don't need regime change to pressure them into a better deal for us. Just perseverance. Intercepting what leaks out via Iran's shadow tanker fleet will speed the process. The best guess is this pressure will take 6 months to show results, right around the time of the elections. I'm Ben Strusand, and that's my view.
Ben Strusand, only on AM 700 KSEV.
Thank goodness our weather experts are providing us with hurricane tracking charts and reminding us to be prepared for big storms. But they overlook one very important thing, the damage and destruction from broken limbs and uprooted trees. Call Louis Flory at Ability Tree Experts today, my friend for nearly 40 years, at 281-441-4179, and let him explain how this problem can be minimized with professional pruning. You see, when the tree canopy is too thick and dense, the tree can be completely blown over and tree limbs broken, causing terrible damage to the tree and maybe your home. Where tree limbs break, sap will ooze, and that attracts harmful insects. So you need to call Louis Flory today at 281-441-4179 and have his experts come out and professionally prune your trees to withstand sudden storms that are so frequent this time of year. Visit their website at abilitytrees.com. That's 281-441-4179. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professional.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's ChrisXradio. ChrisXradio.
What we need right now is a clear message to the people of this country. This message must be read in every newspaper, heard on every radio, seen on every television. This message must resound throughout the entire interlink.
And now, your host.
I believe this is going to be our finest hour.
Chris X.
Seems like a lot of people are going on vacation this week. At least I've noticed that. But nonetheless, a lot of people are ready for the 250th anniversary of America. It's funny, we're the political wonks. We get down deep, we get angry and get really mad. We're the only ones watching these. I guess we're the watchdogs of the country, watching what these politicians and others are doing to our country. But you can't forget the greatness of America. Welcome back to the program where you reached the second hour of Chris X Radio. I am the aforementioned X-Man. Glad to have you here with us as we are rocking here officially in July. It is hot outside. Looks like the temperature's coming down nicely, though. It looks like it's dropped down to 95 in my area. Man, it was 99 earlier. It's a little too warm for me. I say I'm not ready for it, but we should be. It's August. It's July. August will be here before you know it. But we're officially in July, and then Saturday is officially America's 250th birthday. We even talked to Phil Sklar, the co-founder and CEO of the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum, for the Bobblehead Collection celebrating America's 250th birthday. So if you want to go on over to bobbleheadhall.com, you can go check them out and get yourself some cool bobbleheads. But are you on vacation this week? Are you guys doing anything fun? Are you guys still paying attention to what's going on? I think, what was the House gavelled out of session, I guess? I don't think they gavel out. But I think they're out there on vacation. All the politicians they're run on vacation. Now, the funny thing is, you've got all of these people in politics that are looking forward to their vacations and getting away, and then you got Donald Trump, who never goes on vacation. He works. He doesn't accept a paycheck. He's never accepted a paycheck as president of the United States, and he works constantly, all the time. He finally found a job that suits him because he's working on behalf of the American people. Is he perfect? Nah, he's pretty far from it. Pretty effing far from perfect. But I tell you what, when it comes to our country and the people of our country, that guy's in our corner. He's on our side. And no, he's not perfect. Yes, there's some things he does that I don't like. But man, are you kidding me? I'll take him over these other people who constantly tell you things that, oh, I'm here for you. Well, they continue to serve themselves at the trough, the public trough, over and over and over again. And we're seeing this. It was weird because we've seen some of the Republicans, these incumbents getting bounced, like Thomas Massey and Bill Cassidy and then John Cornyn. They're getting bumped. Same thing is happening on the Democrat side. But on our side, the Republican side, it's more people that are more patriotic, more people that are more for America, people that are for the American people, want to do more things to put the country back on the founders' principles. Whereas on the Democrat side, they're being bounced by Marxist, socialist commies. I don't think we'll ever have a starker contrast on how we're voting until this upcoming election in the midterms. It's going to be very interesting. And one of the things I'm referred to is now you got in Denver this 29-year-old socialist, Malat Quiros, has defeated Diana DeJet, a 30-year incumbent in the Democrat primary. She's a commie. Simple as that. Just like the commies that were just elected in New York in their Democrat primaries. So as the Democrat Party now has the Democrat Socialists of America slowly but surely replacing them, well, on our side, we've got the Liberty people slowly but surely replacing the swamp rats who've been there for far too long. And as we were talking about yesterday on the show, you've got the problems with the Supreme Court ruling regarding birthright tourism. There was never a peep out of Thomas Massey. Marjorie Taylor Greene, did you ever say anything about it? No. Now they're siding with the commies because they're all angry at Trump. Even though they claim to be so liberty-minded. I'm so liberty-minded I can't vote with the Republicans, so I'm going to vote with people that are absolute Marxist, socialist, communists. That makes perfect sense, right? Or maybe not in any world whatsoever. Oh, anyway, by the way, sorry, I keep forgetting. I'm going to open up the phones. If you want to join us here on this holiday week, I don't know how many people are actually listening. 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. Woke up with a sore throat today. So I haven't got the meds yet. I'm going to pick them up in the morning because I didn't get them called in until too late. So then they close at 5. So I'll go get some meds and then hoping my voice holds up. But it seems to be holding up just fine. Yeah, I fought this off about a week ago. I had a bit of a sore throat, but it wasn't bad. And that happens occasionally. I've been prone to get sore throats once in a while. Like I said, I've had strep throat more than a few times. And I think part of it is, my problem is I like to go out and eat. And I used to go out and eat lunch and dinner on a regular basis, but now just generally it's probably dinner or lunch. On the weekends, sometimes I'll go out and eat lunch or dinner, but that also consists of going through fast food restaurants. I was thinking, how in the hell did I get sick? Who have I been around to get sick? And then I don't want to say it was Jimmy John's, but I went through Jimmy John's the other day, and I'll just say the people making my sandwiches look like they could be carrying something. I'll just say, I know they're supposed to be clean, but you can't prevent everything. And I think I may have picked up a sore throat from one of them. So I'll get my meds and take those and then try to enjoy the 4th of July this weekend. And then the other thing, too, is even though when I'm off, I used to get, I went through a phase where I try to turn off the news whenever I'm off. So just try to turn off the news and relax and have a good time, have some fun, so you don't just stay glued to it. But then occasionally I'll kick back in. And one of the things now, because I don't have regular television, I have the apps, and I'll be watching either Tubi or Pluto or what is the other one? The Samsung app. That's the kind of TV I got, whatever that one is. I stumbled across the K-dramas or the K-comedies. I like the K-comedies. The K-comedies are hilarious. But there's also some of the dramas which are in many ways it's a throwback to how we used to do things here in America. Now, it's in Korea, and it's in Korean or whatever, it's subtitled or whatever. But I look how they're doing stuff, and it's much more wholesome than what we have here. I can't watch regular television. I haven't watched a regular television series on ABC, NBC, CBS, and I don't know how long. I don't even watch those channels. The only time I see those channels are when if I go somewhere, go to eat, and one of the channels is up, which it'll be that or CNN or something. And I'm just like, man, you guys you're living in the dark ages. But I'll watch some of those K-dramas, but I'll also go watch on the Pluto channel. They've got a bunch of free movie channels on the Pluto app. And, man, they got like 20 or 30 movie channels, so I'll watch those. And then eventually they've also got all of the news channels, so I can dig on over into those as well. So if I want to watch local news or, Texas news or, the entire U.S. news or world news, it's all right there. I cut the cable a while back, and I just have internet, and those apps they're great. Or if I want to go and rent a movie, very seldom do I go to the theater. I went and saw Backrooms. That was interesting. But very seldom do I go to the theaters anymore. Once in a blue moon. I wanted to go see, I wanted to go see the Disclosure Day, but unfortunately I heard way too many reviews that didn't like it. They just said it's too long and it's not his best movie, so I haven't seen it. I may break down and go see it, but I don't go to the theater very often. I may just wait for streaming because streaming is so much easier. And I've got to where I enjoy streaming movies at home because I've got a nice television with a nice sound system, and it's very similar to going to the theater. You just don't have to deal with the other crowd. I can just sit there and watch a movie with my girlfriend and not have to worry about getting out and dealing with people. You can pause it and go grab snacks or go to the restroom or whatever. That's kind of cool. You don't miss anything. The other thing, my tolerance for long movies has gone way, way down. I don't like watching 2-hour movies anymore. When I'm looking to stream a movie or see what's on, I'm like, okay, if this movie is more than about an hour and 40 minutes, I'm like, it's too long. I guess that is probably an internet thing where your attention span goes way down. But unless it's a really good movie, it's hard to sit through them. Anyway, okay, well, welcome to the second hour. Glad to have you back. 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. One question I haven't asked you guys is, how do you plan to celebrate America's 250th birthday? I'll watch some fireworks and some stuff. I mean, I don't know if I'll actually go anywhere, just watch it on TV. But there's going to be fireworks everywhere. People are going to go crazy. One thing people do, the American people love to burn money. And fireworks is literally burning money. So what are you guys doing? 281-558-5738. That is 281-558-KSEV if you want to weigh in. Also mentioned earlier today, it's such a weird story. These two masked people apparently climbed on top of the Empire State Building around noon, holding a banner that read, "When the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace." And apparently it was a guy And then he proposed to his girlfriend. He got down on one knee. They were up on what's looked like the cell tower, I guess, at the top of it. Wonder what kind of jolts of radiation they got from that. I don't know how long they were up there. But following the New York City Police Department Emergency Services Unit, the pair, who later identified themselves on social media as Netflix stars Angela Nicolau and Ivan Birkus, appeared to take down the banner and climb down from the antenna to a lower platform, and then he appeared to pull out an engagement ring out of his backpack. So they're filming this, obviously, for their show. Got down on one knee and proposed to Nicolau. The couple was later taken into custody, and charges are now pending. No injuries were reported. So I guess he's setting up for conjugal visits. Is that what? If you're both in jail, do you get conjugal visits? I don't know how that works. Do they still do conjugal visits? Why do they do that for these criminals? I don't know. Generally, they let people out. But these people don't seem to be like the criminals violating other people, so they'll probably throw the book at them. The DOJ will now prioritize birth tourism probes after they've we got the Supreme Court ruling earlier this week. We can take a break. When we come back, we can talk about that. And then Bernie Moreno has wants to push Congress to clarify birthright citizenship using Harry Reid's own legislation from 1993. That's pretty interesting when you're pulling out 1993 legislation from Democrats and trying to pass it as is. It shows you a couple of things. One, how crazy things have gotten, but two, how insane Democrats have become. They don't have anything in common with their own party from just 20, 30 years ago. They're a bunch of Marxist, socialist, crazy people now. All right, you're listening to ChrisXradio. We're just rocking and rolling here through the second hour of the program. If you want to join us, 281-558 KSEV. We'll be right back.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Nix Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nix Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nixplumbing.com.
MPL 38548.
Hi, y'all. It's Kathy from Baker Mortgage. You know, with all the scary stuff we've been through, it's still true that timing is everything, and the time to buy is now. But don't go looking without a solid pre-approval in hand. And this includes an application and a detailed discussion about property taxes. If you didn't have the talk, about property taxes, you really don't know what you're pre-approved for. That should make you wonder what else they may have left out. Mortgages are personal. Let's face it, we're dealing with your home and your money, and it doesn't get much more personal than that. When it's the largest transaction that most people will ever be involved in, imagine having someone on your side looking out after you. What a concept. We audit your closing statement to make sure you're not paying for things that you're not supposed to. Do you think your big bank's going to do that? Probably not. For all of your mortgage needs, call us at Baker Mortgage. I promise you'll be glad you did. We're at 281-313-MOVE or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
Hi, this is Michael Miller. Join me this weekend for the Backyard Bay radio program presented by Miller Pools and Texan Pools, now at our new time every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. And what we do here on the Backyard Bay radio program is talk about your backyard. And this time of year, wow, it's so hard not to just spend all your time out in the Backyard Bay. And I know sometimes you have questions. That's why we do the Backyard Bay radio program, to get you good, solid answers to any kind of questions that you may have concerning your swimming pools, or I'm looking to build a new swimming pool. Join me this weekend for the Backyard Bay radio program, now at our new time, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m., right here on The Voice.
From the Save America Act in the Senate to green-lighting Democrat cheating at the ballot box and affirming birthright citizenship at the U.S. Supreme Court, the U.S. government is confirming it has grown beyond the consent of the governed, increasingly hostile toward we the people. I got one email from somebody who says they're completely demoralized. Trust me when I tell you, folks, that's what they want in the Uniparty in Washington, D.C. Don't give it to them. We talked to Scott Pressler and Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne. Coming up on the Chris Salcedo Show. See you at 7 on the Voice of Texas.
Oh, man. Breaking news. The Supreme Court has now ruled that invading xenomorphs who hatch on Earth are officially citizens of Earth. The Babylon Bee is so great. They're always winning. Okay, totally winning. There's another one. Rape gang busted in the UK for illegal air conditioner use, which is hilarious. Supergirl unveils new superpower of losing $100 million in a single week. And this is probably my favorite new one. Winning, Trump now rules entire world as Supreme Court declares everyone is American. So Trump is now the world leader. Okay, there you go. Terrorists torn between going on violent jihad or getting elected as Democrat senator. Tough call. It's a tough one for them right now. Oh, the Babylon Bee. That's so funny because I used to like The Onion, and it's not as good anymore. There's some others, but as far as satire sites go, nobody defeats the Babylon Bee. It is so good. All right, welcome back to Chris Radio. If you want to join us here, as we are officially into July now, 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. How are you guys celebrating? It just seems like a lot of people are on vacation this week. I know a few people at the station are on vacation. I know some of my friends are on vacation. Us in the media, we'll take certain vacations at certain times, but our really slow time, I guess, generally tends to be at the end of the year. So I try to time up my, the days I take off there, over Christmas and New Year's. For one, I can go up to the hill country and hang out, which is fun. But two is that's really the slow time in radio, and I guess this is also one of the slow times. And as I mentioned in the last segment, the DOJ is now prioritizing birth tourism probes after the Supreme Court ruling that came down yesterday, which has ruled that xenomorphs who, leave eggs on Earth are now citizens of Earth, which is so damn funny. I love that. That is hilarious. Federal prosecutors on June 30th were directed to prioritize investigations into birth tourism schemes after the Supreme Court struck down President Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship for children born to illegal immigrants. Colin McDonald, the Justice Department's Assistant Attorney General for Fraud, said in a memo to department employees that the U.S. immigration system is being exploited by foreign nationals who travel to the country under false pretenses to give birth and secure U.S. citizenship for their children. Yeah, you think? Once again, how the Supreme Court got this wrong, he instructed all U.S. attorneys in the criminal division to work with the Department of Homeland Security to investigate and prosecute those involved in such schemes. The Department of Justice will investigate and hold accountable those who engage in unlawful conduct, as well as those who solicit and sell these criminal services to others. The memo cites cases related to birth tourism schemes, including one from 2024 that involved a couple who allegedly helped Chinese nationals to give birth in the U.S. in exchange for money. The couple, identified as Wei Yu Liu and Jing Dong, operated a business called USA Happy Baby Incorporated. Wow, I wonder what that was. USA Happy Baby Incorporated, that helped Chinese nationals obtain fraudulent visas to enter the U.S. also provided housing and coached their customers on how to hide their pregnancies from immigration authorities, according to the department. The two were each sentenced to 41 months in prison. In another case, Chinese fugitive named Chow Edwin Chen allegedly ran a large-scale birth tourism scheme that charged hundreds of thousands of dollars to help foreign nationals give birth in the U.S. The department said Chen's business claimed to have had a 100-person team in China and the U.S. and to have served more than 500 Chinese birth tourism customers. Quote, as examples make clear, birth tourism schemes exploit our immigration system and violate criminal law, McDonald said. Yeah, I do believe there's a few schemes going on. I think so. And then now you got Senator Bernie Moreno pushing Congress to clarify birthright citizenship rules using Harry Reid's own 1993 legislation. We'll get to that here. Let's go to the phones first. 281-558-KSEV. Looks like we got Jimmy X on the line. Jimmy, thank you for hanging on. Welcome to Chris X Radio.
Old ancient Chinese proverb. First, happy ending, then happy baby.
I think you may have committed 3 hate crimes in one line.
Sorry, man. When you said happy baby Inc., I had to go there. All right, come on.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. That was a softball. You're right.
But, hey, Robert from Pearland, if you're hearing that, that's another funny for Jimmy X. Just saying.
Another notch in Jimmy X. Yeah, we haven't heard from Robert in Pearland in the last few days. Is he on vacation? He could be out hunting new writers for his calls. I don't know. But we haven't heard from the old cracker smoker. So I figured I would have heard from him this week or last week, but we haven't heard from him. So hope he's doing all right and not getting too hot out there washing those windshields down there on the corner of Pearland and Main Street.
Or maybe he was afraid that the birthright citizenship verdict was going to be on the opposite side, and he was afraid he was going to lose his citizenship. That's another possibility.
That is another possibility. You make a good point. This is true. Could be something totally different. Old Robert in Pearland. I'm assuming he's doing okay. I hope he's doing okay. He always gets very jealous of your phone calls because you're so articulate and do such a good job, Jimmy. So we have to give him a little grace.
Well, you know, the other guy I haven't heard from in a while is Don from Kingwood. That's another guy. So not sure if he's out there listening, but he was a pretty frequent caller for many years as well.
Which brings up another guy, Greg in Kingwood. We haven't heard from a lot. He tends to be on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Well, yeah, he's too happy celebrating all the Marxist victories across the country. So
this is probably true. So, but yeah, but I remember the name Don in Kingwood, but I can't remember what we discussed on any of the phone calls. I guess I've gotten too many of them.
No, he was the guy that always called in, talked about living at the old folks' home and all the people, and he'd always say he'd pray for you. Yeah, come on, dude.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, you're right. For some reason, I didn't put those two together when you said Don and Kingwood. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But a super nice guy, and you're right. He was very busy, like I said, working in Kingwood, I guess. But he lived in Kingwood. You're right, at a older folks living facility. So he was the youngster living there at the place with the older folks. So, but he was, like I said, super nice guy, and definitely cared about our country for sure.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I didn't have too much of a purpose today, but, you know, hearing you struggle through the show today, hearing your voice, I said, all right, let me call and try to fill in a little time so that Chris X can save his voice for America 250 on Saturday.
Well, I appreciate that. With a sore throat, that really does help today a lot. So I appreciate that. By the way, do you have big plans for America's 250? What are you doing, Jimmy?
So I'm going to tell you a very special event that is happening this Saturday. It is in a small town in Kansas, Atchison, Kansas. It's where America's best Catholic college is located, Benedictine College, true to Catholic faith. And on Saturday, it is the grand opening of a brand new state-of-the-art library that has been all built and centered around the birth of America, with a complete replica of the old State House in Philadelphia, with all celebrating Catholic and American Tradition and the Birth of America. And Chris, I will tell you that I visit campus pretty often. I'm a graduate. And this library and the Golden Dome on top of it is absolutely spectacular. And if you have a chance just to go on, if you want to type in while you're sitting there, benedictine.edu, right on the front page is a video of all of what's happening and a view of the library, but it is all being dedicated to America and the Catholic influence into the birth of our country. So it's a really big event. That is Saturday.
That sounds very cool. I'll look that up during the break. So, excuse me, that sounds really cool, man. They're doing it right over at Benedictine. So, and I always forget that. So that's where you graduated. Is that where you got your? It wasn't a master's. I think it was just a.
No, that was my undergrad. My MBA is from another Catholic institution, although it's really not Catholic. It's Jesuit from Regis University in Denver, Colorado. That's where my MBA is from. But bachelor's is in fact from Benedictine, and Benedictine's recent claim to fame, that is where Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Chiefs, delivered his infamous commencement address to the graduating class of Benedictine College.
Yeah, that was a pretty good a pretty good address, and everybody was all upset. Oh my God, it was so terrible. He was such a monster. Yeah, it's one of the better ones that we've had. So, no, that's pretty awesome. So that sounds like, so you're going to be there. When are you heading up there? You going up there for the 4th of July?
So I am going to make a quasi appearance. My son is going to be there, and it's a big deal. I'm an 87 graduate. My daughter is a 17 graduate, and my son will be a senior this year. He's also a football, baseball player there as well. My daughter played college soccer there. So, but if you got a couple of minutes, I'll tell you one of the funniest stories about that whole Harrison Butker incident. If we got some time filling here.
Well, I'll run this segment a little late. I want to hear it. So what do you got?
So it's roughly about 2 or 3 weeks after the whole, Saturday commencement address. Again, he did get a standing ovation after that commencement address, okay? And so no one thought anything of it until the next day when the media got hold of it and everybody went frickin' bonkers. So several weeks later on one of the local conservative talk shows, talk radio in Kansas City, the guy's interviewing the president of the college, Steve Minnis, and he says, okay, Steve, so talk me through, Saturday, the address, and then everything after, right? And so he tells the story about how, it was a standing ovation. Nobody thought anything of it. The next day, he's getting inundated with all types of, media pressure and whatnot, and people asking questions. And Steve says, look, our student body is very diverse, okay? And we have students from 49 states. And the guy says, well, what's the only state you don't have a student from? And he says, Delaware. Now, this is 2022. And he says, really, Delaware? And he says, well, it's funny because I know a president that was a senator from Delaware. And Steve Minnis quips right away, yeah, I don't think he could have passed our entrance exam.
I tend to agree with him. I don't think he could have either. Not without cheating pretty hard. So that is
it was really
funny.
He just came right off because I don't think he'd have passed our entrance exam. So
I do believe he was prepared for that one.
yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, other than that, X, it's been a great week in terms of, we're starting to see some movement in this whole Tallarico and Paxton race. People are starting to wake up. It is funny seeing all of the Tallarico spots running during the World Cup and how, I don't know if you've seen them yet.
I've seen one.
Have you?
I've seen one. Yeah.
It's television ads.
Yes. I've seen it there. It's
So
him walking out of some like convenience store with a bag of groceries, talking about how he passed the property tax relief and had voted to cut taxes and do all of these things that, well, don't necessarily reflect the truth. And then he gets in a truck to go drive away. Okay, right.
Yes, well, okay, so it's not a convenience store. It's a small-town grocery store, Chris X, because he's just like everybody else. He lives in a small town, and Grandma and Grandpa are sitting out there on the chair, and it's just a regular night having sweet tea. Oh, my gosh, man. And then, he gets into a truck. So you noticed all the things that I noticed in that spot. The regular guy just walking through, getting his groceries, talking about affordability. Give me a break. That is sicko.
Of course, that had the Democrat line. Thanks for the call, Jimmy. Always good to hear from you, and thanks for the stories. And yes, of course, they're running with that. The Democrats are going to do everything they can to try to paint this guy as normal while they're doing hit pieces on Ken Paxton. We knew this was happening. The Democrats in the media, the propagandists, will do the hit pieces for free. They don't even have to be paid. But then you've got, like you said, looking at these commercials, they're, tailor-made to try to convince people that he's just one of us when the guy is the least genuine person I've ever seen. All right, let's take a break because we're way over. All right, you're listening to Chris X Radio, 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. That's a pretty funny story you told, too. Like I said, the funny thing is, once again, they tried to pin Tallarico. He's leading in the polls. The only poll he was only leading in one poll, and the only poll he was leading was they hadn't even decided who the candidate was on the Republican ticket, and now it's already changed. That's a bad sign for Mr. Tallarico and the Democrats coming up in November. But we'll see. There's still a long way to go before we get there. There's still a lot of propaganda before we get there. All right, 281-558-KSEV. I'm Chris X. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
If you have roof problems, you can sure see them when it rains. This is Deb Tejada from Tejas Roofing. If you see a leak, call me immediately, 281-251-0304. I'll send over the Tejas Roof Repair truck.
That truck has everything our experienced crew needs to fix your roof, right then and there.
The Tejas Roofing crew has been working together fixing leaky roofs for 15 years.
It's not a pretty truck, but it has everything we need to get the job done. I kind of like the way it looks.
Most roofing repairs cost less than $500. Why? Because we find the cause of the leak and repair that leak. We won't try to sell you services you don't need.
And we'll fix it right away because everything we need is in our truck.
Don't put off fixing a leaky roof. Call me at Tejas Roofing and I'll send over the truck. 281-251-0304. When you think of roofing repairs or a new roof, think Tejas Roofing, your Houston roofing company. 281-251-0304. That's Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304.
Sunscreen? Check. Pool float? Check. Friends texting, what should I bring? Easy. With the largest selection, the lowest prices, and locations all over Texas, Specs is the ultimate destination for summer. Shop Specs! Kick off the fun during Specs Summer Sale with big savings on ice-cold cans, refreshing wines, and every kind of sip under the sun. Specs Wines, Spirits, and Finer Foods. The fun starts here.
Gas Product Services is here to help you get ready for the summer. If you have a gas grill or an outdoor kitchen that needs servicing or an upgrade, call Russell Metzler today. With over 20 years in the gas products business, Russell is your go-to guy for all of your home's natural gas items and ideas. From outdoor kitchens, grills, fire features, or gas lights, Russell can add inspiring ambiance and culinary features for all of your backyard gatherings. Call Russell today at 281-798-8006 or gasproductservices.com.
Checo Pro Joe here. My guest this week will be Cody Johnson from Garage Door Doctor. For all of your garage door needs, contact Garage Door Doctor at 281-343-3632.
Join Joe every Saturday at 1 o'clock here on AM 700 KSEV and AM 1540 KGBC, the voice of Texas.
Hello, friends. Let's be honest. Every business says they're better, but
The ones that earn the prestigious BBB seal back it up. That's why it's the sign of a better business. And it instantly identifies reputable businesses you can trust. So look for the BBB seal because it's looking out for you. It's the sign of a better business. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org. That's bbb.org.
CDC Integrated Services, LLC reminds us we know too often our veterans and military spouses have trouble finding jobs. If you're an employer, support our transitioning vets and their families by taking advantage of their skills by hiring smart and hiring vets. This message from Cyprus's very own CDC Integrated Services, LLC, where service isn't just a courtesy, it's a commitment. For more information, call 832-452-8537, 832-452-8537. CDC Integrated Services, LLC, 7531 Oakwood Canyon Drive in Cyprus, where they care.
All right, welcome back to ChrisX Radio. You've reached the second to final segment. That's right. We have this segment, one more remaining, and then we'll wrap things up as we steam towards America's 250th anniversary coming up on Saturday. It is officially July. That's why I say steam, because it's hot outside. It says, 96 degrees. So the weather went down, but then it's back up again, up to 96. Oh, man. It's hot. It is hot. I'm not prepared for the heat. Of course, the older I get, the less prepared for the heat I am. So, anyway, welcome back to ChrisX Radio. I appreciate the call from Jimmy X in the last segment. Told some pretty good stories. Yeah. Also, I wonder how Don in Kingwood is doing. Haven't heard from him in a while. Or then the Cracker Smoker. Hadn't heard from him in a couple weeks. But that's not really out of the ordinary for him. Occasionally, he'll go away for a few weeks. He'll fire all of his riders and then hire some new ones, and then he's back. But if you want to join us here before we run out of time, we got a short time in this segment, then one more remaining. 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. Let's go ahead and go to the phones, pick up with Bart, who's been listening in spring. Bart, thanks for hanging on. Welcome to ChrisX Radio.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about this Milat Kiros up there in Denver. She's a law school student graduate, I guess, from Notre Dame. The same law school that Pete Buttigieg's father was a communist, was teaching at, same time as Amy Coney Barrett. And you just have to wonder about some of these law schools, what they're producing.
I wondered that about just colleges in general. They have become no longer institutions of higher learning, but more like institutions of indoctrination, especially when you see people like the ones you're referring to, like Milat Kiros or any of these others, Buttigieg, and these people are crazy, and then you go and you see, well, they just either get, I don't know if they're getting affirmed, but it seems to me like they're getting more indoctrinated than anything.
Well, I know when Jasmine Crockett, she went to U of H Law School, and she was trying to say that the people who chose to visit Japan, that puts them under the jurisdiction there. And I'm like, what the heck is she talking about? That's not what the 14th Amendment is talking about. Shouldn't they know that?
We have learned that a lot of members of Congress have very limited knowledge about the things they insanely spew information about. They don't know what they're talking about. And once again, Jasmine Crockett is not someone I would call as a highly intellectual individual. So I have no idea what she was talking about when she said that, and it makes zero sense on any level. I don't know
it
how
doesn't.
you.
I just am amazed because I was listening to the Harvard Law School professor emeritus, Dershowitz, was saying how the Democratic Socialists are going to kill the Democratic Party. And I thought, great, they spent over $1.5 million trying to get a 30-year Democrat reelected in a losing cause, and they need the money. They cut off the USAID kickback, so the Democrats are wasting all this money fighting off the Democratic Socialists.
Well, the only thing I'll disagree with you is the Democrats didn't waste that money at all. They've been bilking like USAID and this kind of stuff. This is fraud, and they've been spending money to, once again, to filter back into the system. It's just money laundering is basically what they've been doing with their Marxist candidates. Now they're slowly but surely being replaced by more radical, younger, Marxist, socialist, communist candidates. So absolutely, they're getting what they have been breeding in these colleges. Now, the sad part is they're trying to hoist them up on the American people. So it puts us in a really bad spot. But once again, we still have the ability to vote against these people. Let's pray some of these areas where these kind of weirdos are getting elected, or at least for the primary. Let's hope they get beat in November.
Well, that's why I'm saying wasted. I don't see how these people can win in the general election as far as a national thing. Now, she can win the seat like the New York will because it's so blue there. But Quiros she actually posted on, as soon as they hired her at a law firm, how she was pro-Hamas, and a law firm told her she had to take that down. She refused, and they fired her the first day. So guess what she went to do? She went to become a barista.
So she was serving coffee like AOC was serving drinks in a bar. Once again, these
Following
are not
her
right
role model. Yeah, I'm like, to me, that's just a waste. They're going to win that seat anyhow, but I'm looking going, they wasted money putting another Democrat progressive in there. What was the point? They're really going to need the money for Tallarico, but a lot of the stuff he's saying, he refuses to denounce the Democratic Socialists. And I think that's going to bite him in the butt.
We'll see. I mean, I don't know. The Democrat, once again, look who the nominee is up in Maine. It's a person with an actual Nazi tattoo on their chest. Now, they've covered it up with other tattoos since then, but this guy is a hashtag Me Too movement all on his own. He's a racist. He's been very bad to women. He's a predator. He's a complete dirtbag. He was a member of this Kick site that apparently is a home for these, predators or these pedophiles. And it's like, what, huh? And their only response is, we got to get rid of Susan Collins, the most liberal voting Republican senator.
That's what Dershowitz is saying is going to kill the Democrats. When the general elections come up there, these people are going to hang these radical leftist nuts on the Democrats.
As smart as Alan Dershowitz was or is, he's been a Democrat until the last year. So I'm not calling him an idiot.
Yeah, in the statement, he said, that's why I left. These people have gone nuts. They're killing the party.
But it took him this long to get there?
He's Jewish. He thought he was supposed to support the Democrats.
Yeah, he's learned that the Democrats became pretty anti-Jew pretty quick. They're a bunch of anti-Semites now, and that's who dominates the party, which is why people like Quiros has stuff like supporting Hamas, just like Mom Donnie's wife. Mom Donnie's wife's a big Hamas supporter. They're totally fine with people going in and raping, torturing, kidnapping, and murdering Jews. They have no problem with it because they are radical nut jobs. And
in Middle America, they're going to hang that on the Democrats running for office.
Well, I hope all of them get smoked in November. That's all I got to say about that.
Talk to you later.
Thanks for the call, Bart. Appreciate it. I hope they all just get destroyed and blown out. We'll see. Middle America, are they ready for these people? Once again, it's funny. I know we're coming up on our 250th anniversary of the birthday of America, but that's a lot of time for the commies. We've learned over time these commies, they've been around all along. They're just getting traction now because they've got young, stupid people who vote for them. People with no vested interest in the country. People that don't own anything. People that all of a sudden they can't afford anything, and they're working these jobs making a lot of money, and they still can't afford anything. So what do they want? They want to take it away from you. Socialism, that way they can legally steal your stuff and apply, dole it out the way they see fit. These people are insane. Thanks for the call. Good to hear from you, Bart. All right, 281-558 KSEV. Let's take a break. We'll come back, wrap up today's show, get you geared up for the weekend. Man, it's getting here quick. Despite, once again, these weirdos getting, like I said, the Democrat nomination, which doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, there's the element of like, my God, are they really gone that far? But they've been there for a while. Understand, this is the same party in the last few elections that had to buy off Bernie Sanders. They have allowed these socialists, these Democrat socialists of America, to rally with their party. And pretty soon, they start winning because they're selling the same lies that the Democrats are selling. They're just willing to admit it, where they're from, what they are. It's crazy. All right, 281-558 KSEV. You're listening to Chris X Radio. We'll be right back to wrap things up.
Does your company have a cybersecurity writer? Are you compliant with its terms? If you're not sure, call Tactical Cyber Services for a free consultation. 713-229-0030 or go online to tacticalservices.com.
This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate in O'Hara Homes. I'm going to drop some truth bombs that I believe. We're in a global war against evil. Donald Trump is a wartime president. COVID-19 was not the bioweapon the jab was. A surgical mask will not prevent you from getting a virus. The 2020 election was rigged. If you're watching mainstream media, you're being lied to. The elites of this world have been running the largest human trafficking and pedophile ring. The Ukraine is a deep state stronghold. God is real and created two genders, male and female, and Jesus died for our sins. If you're not awake yet, you better wake up. If you want a real estate company that'll give you the truth, give O'Hara & Company Real Estate a call at 281-373-3393 or look us up on the web at o'harare.com. If you're looking for a contractor, call O'Hara Homes at the same number, 281-373-3393. God wins this war. Nothing can stop what is coming. Where we go one, we go all. God bless America and God bless Texas. This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate. Our country's founding fathers drafted a document that is the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. My friends at O'Hara & Company Real Estate, we believe we're at a precipice in time where we must take back our country. We must stand up for our freedoms or lose them forever. Please don't sit idle and let it slip away. Don't let anyone force you to do something you choose not to. As JFK said, if not us, who? If not now, when? If you're looking to buy or sell real estate, give O'Hara & Company Real Estate a call at 281-373-3393, 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at o'harare.com. I'm Kevin O'Hara. God bless America, and God bless Texas.
All right, welcome back. That sounds like me trying to clear out my voice. That's what I feel like with a sore throat going on. Oh, I can't wait to get my meds and then just go ahead and take those and take it easy with America's 250th birthday week. Like I said, Saturday is July the 4th, America's 250th birthday. Pretty important holiday. I think a lot of people should celebrate, at least have a good time. Remember the great things about our country. There's a lot of problems, there always is, but man, this is the time when you go and like I said, there's plenty of time to discuss what's right or what's wrong with your country, but on certain holidays or certain times, it's a good idea to this experiment in democracy, and we're at 250 years. And it's been a good run. How much longer will we be able to go? We'll see. There are people running for office that are ready to just change it all, burn it to the ground, and some even admit it. That's what's hilarious. Well, those on the Democrat side. They're ready to burn it to the ground. It's insane. Anyway, you've reached the final segment of the program. What coming up next is the Craig Collins program. He airs Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. right here on the Voice of Texas. So make sure you stick around for the Craig Collins show coming up later this evening. And then we'll be out. And like I said, I hope everybody is able to go enjoy the holiday this weekend. I did want to go through here before we run out of time. This Bernie Moreno is how he pronounces it. He's now pushing Congress to clarify birthright citizenship rules using Harry Reid's legislation from 1993. He announced plans to revive this decades-old proposal from former Democrat Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid. This is a perfect example of how different Democrats are now than they were just 30 years ago. And it's Harry Reid's push to end birthright citizenship came to a halt at the hands of the Supreme Court. You know, that's what happened here recently. Well, he said when he gets back from recess on July 13th, he's going to introduce the identical bill that Harry Reid did back in 1993. said what's going to do is highlight two things. The Democrats of today are nothing like the Democrats of 93. And if they choose to reject a bill sponsoring their majority leader they named an airport after in Las Vegas, then I think my Republican colleagues have no choice. We have to recognize that these Democrats want to systematically destroy this country. Moreno's remarks reference the Immigration Stabilization Act of 1993, a proposal put forth by Harry Reid which would have revoked birthright citizenship, among other things. According to PolitiFact, Section 1001 of Reid's bill, entitled Basis of Citizenship Clarified, said that children born to illegal immigrants on U.S. soil should not become U.S. citizens. See, Democrats used to make sense in this country. It actually made somewhat sense. A press release issued by the Nevada Democrats' office at the time expounded upon the idea, suggesting the bill clarifies that a person born in the U.S. to an alien mother who is not a lawful resident or not a U.S. citizen. Under this notion, PolitiFact wrote, the incentive for female illegal immigrants who are late in their pregnancies and seeking to give birth on U.S. soil would be quashed. The bill never advanced out of committee, however. Moreno indicated that his bill will be a carbon copy of Reid's. He urged the Republicans to work to eliminate the filibuster to get things done. Justice Kavanaugh said that what we have to do is clarify what citizenship actually means. Apparently, that is something that is way too difficult for the rest of the gang, not the rest. The liberal weirdos and Amy Kobe Bryant, they can't determine it. It just says we can do that through an act of Congress. Once again, the president was referring to this as well. So we shall see if any of these bills get traction, but that's what Donald Trump said after the ruling by the Supreme Court. He says it proves we need to get off our tails. Congress needs to get to work and do this. Otherwise, we're handing our country over to people that literally have zero vested interest in it and have been indoctrinated to hate our country. We have millions of illegal aliens in our country that are having children, and they become anchored to this country because their children are U.S. citizens. And then they do the chain migration thing. Don't know if you're familiar with that, but you should be. And then we have the birth tourism. Right now, the Supreme Court basically just went, hey, anybody who wants to come here and have a kid, you're going to be a citizen. That's cool. Go ahead. I don't know how anyone got that out of the 14th Amendment. It is such a slap in the face to the African Americans, the blacks, who had to fight for their citizenship while being born in this country. It's insane. All right, everybody, have a good weekend.